Why your proposals keep going quiet and what's really happening before you hit send. Most B2B experts can tell you exactly where their sales process breaks down. The discovery call felt great, the conversation flowed, they had said all the right things, you went away, you build a proposal you're genuinely proud of, and you send it, and then nothing. So you send a follow-up, a polite response comes back saying that they're still considering it. So you send another follow-up. Silence. And the next discovery call you book, you're already just a little more hesitant than you were before. A little more careful, a little less yourself, because you still don't know what you did wrong. I'm Anita Toth, a reputation-led revenue advisor, and I work with B2B experts, agency founders, consultants, and coaches who have built something real on reputation and relationships, but keep hitting the same wall when it comes to closing the right clients with confidence. This video is all about that wall, specifically why your proposals keep going quiet, why great conversations don't always convert, and why the fix most people reach for makes the problem worse instead of better. I'm going to walk you through 3 things I see happening with almost every B2B expert I work with. And if any of this sounds familiar, that's the point. Okay, number 1, the proposal that felt strong and then disappeared. Let's start with what's actually happening in that discovery call. You ask good questions, you listen, you start to see where you can help, and because you're good at what you do, you get excited. You can already see the solution taking shape. You move into it. You start explaining your process, your framework, your approach. You show them you understand the problem. You leave feeling like it went really well, and it did go well. And that's the cruel part. The problem isn't the conversation. The problem is what you did with it. Because somewhere in that call, that prospect told you something. Not in so many words, but they told you. They told you what they're really afraid of, what they've already tried, what success actually looks like to them beyond the obvious answer. And you heard it, but you didn't build your proposal around it. You built their proposal around your solution. So the proposal arrives in their inbox. It's professional, it's thorough, it's well priced, and it reads like it could have been written for anyone. Because it could have. It describes what you do, but doesn't reflect who they are. And that's the gap. The gap is why proposals go quiet. A quiet proposal isn't a pricing problem. It isn't a follow-up problem. It's a listening problem that showed up too late to fix. Point 2, what you're actually selling and what they're actually buying. Here's what most B2B experts miss about the sales conversation. When a prospect gets on a discovery call with you, they will tell you the presenting problem, the thing they know how to name, the metric that's off, the process is broken, the gap they've identified, and because you're experienced, you recognize it immediately. You've solved this before. You know exactly what they need. So you pitch the solution to the problem they name. But that's almost never the problem they're actually buying the solution to. Underneath the presenting problem is the real problem, the thing that's keeping them up at night, the decision they've been putting off, the thing they tried before that didn't work and quietly damaged their confidence. The result they need has nothing to do with the deliverable and everything to do with what that deliverable makes possible for them. That's what they're buying. And if your proposal doesn't speak to it, they go quiet. Not because your price was wrong, but because the proposal didn't make them feel understood at a level that matters most. I worked with a B2B consultant who was closing in about 9 of her proposals. So good conversation. She did solid work. She had fair pricing, but she couldn't figure out what was going wrong. When we looked through her discovery process together, the pattern became clear immediately. She was asking what the problem was, but she wasn't asking them what it was costing them. She wasn't asking what they'd already tried and why it hadn't worked. She wasn't asking what success looked like in 12 months, not the deliverable, but the feeling, the relief, the thing they'd be able to stop worrying about. We rebuilt her discovery process around those deeper questions, and her close rate went from 1 in 9 to 1 in 5 within 2 months. She had the same pricing, the same offer, but she asked different questions. The proposal didn't change. The intelligence behind it did. Number 3, the wrong fit client you shouldn't have said yes to. This is the one nobody talks about because it's the one underneath all of it. Some proposals go quiet because the prospect wasn't the right fit, and part of you knew it on the call. You felt a small hesitation you couldn't quite name, something slightly off about their expectations or their timeline or the way they talked about the last person they worked with. But your pipeline was thin and the proposal went out anyway. Okay, yep, I've been there. I took a client on who I knew wasn't right from the moment I got off that discovery call. He was opinionated, he liked to dominate conversations, and I told myself I could work around it, but I couldn't. And by week 4, I had to end the engagement, not just because of how difficult the working relationship was, but because I ignored the signals that were there from the very first call. And that decision cost me more than the lost revenue. It cost me weeks of energy. I had a confidence dip that came from delivering in a relationship that was wrong from day one, and the opportunity cost of finding the right clients I wasn't pursuing while I was busy managing the wrong one. And here's the truth about wrong fit clients. They don't become right fit clients once they sign. They become more of what they already were in the discovery call. And the proposals that go quiet, some of them are actually working exactly as they should. The right person has said no. The problem is you didn't have enough in the pipeline to feel okay with that. So you chase, you follow up one more time, you lower the price, you adjust the scope, you tell yourself it's just this once. It's never just this once. The fix isn't a better follow-up sequence. The fix is a qualification standard clear enough that you can hold it even when your pipeline is thin and even when the right conversation's happening. You don't have to compromise to keep the revenue moving. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Proposals go quiet for 3 reasons. The proposal reflected their solution instead of your specific solution. Number 2, the discovery didn't go deep enough to surface what they were really buying. Or number 3, the fit was wrong and part of you knew it before you ever sent the document. None of these are follow-up problems. None of these are pricing problems. They're all symptoms of the same thing. Building your sales process around what you think your clients need instead of what they actually tell you when you ask the right questions. And I call this the assumption tax. It's the invisible cost of operating on what you assume instead of what you actually know. And in the sales process, it shows up as great conversations that didn't close, proposals that go quiet, and wrong fit clients you took on because your pipeline was thin. The good news is every one of these is fixable, and not by adding more outreach or chasing harder, but by getting better intelligence before the proposal is ever written. And that's what the Silent Revolution builds, a discovery process that surfaces what's really going on beneath the presenting problem, and a proposal approach that reflects the specific situation of the prospect rather than giving a generic service description. And thirdly, a qualification standard that helps you hold the line on fit because your warm network is generating enough of the right conversations that saying no to the wrong ones doesn't feel like a risk anymore. The goal isn't to close more proposals. It's to send fewer of them to the right people and close at a rate that actually reflects how good you are. If any of this landed, here's where you go next. You can learn more about how I work and what the Silent Revolution builds at hiddenrev.com. And if you want to start a conversation directly, just find me on LinkedIn. I'm easy to find and I read every message. The silence isn't rejection. It's your prospect telling you that they didn't feel understood. And that happened a long time before the proposal landed in their inbox. The good news is it's completely fixable, and it starts with one better conversation in your next discovery call. Take care, and bye for now.